Welcome to thestockmanager.com. I'm Brian Johnson, and we saw kind of a flat day. We were actually down for a while, looking still very, very bearish, and then we started to get the bounce. Now, is the bounce just a wave two, if you're an Elliott Tishing type person? Meaning, is it just a temporary bounce before we push ourselves downwards from here? Or are we going to see maybe a little bit more of a climb into the end of the week? Time will tell. We'll have to wait and see. But that's what it appeared like to me, that it was just a temporary bounce. So we'll be paying attention to that very, very closely over the next, well, into tomorrow and tomorrow's close. Okay, Dow still didn't want to drop. Look, still looking very good from a bull standpoint. We did get this big drop here. Now we're resting right on the 20-period moving average yesterday at the close. Today we opened right about even. And then the big push down followed by the big push up. Very common to see during options expiration week. But look where we came. Right into the 50-period moving average. Found our support there. Came right back up to revisit the 20 by the end of the day. So everything's looking really fine here. Now, if this continues to stay weak, I think the Dow might just be behind the rest of the markets. I think they're already starting to make their moves, and I think the Dow is going to follow. So you're going to want to watch this closely over the next day or so. I like still pushes down below these areas here for shorting opportunities in the Dow. If we take a look at the daily, you're going to see we're going to put in a big kind of a doji. I'm just going to call it a doji candle here. It looks like a big cross sitting there right in the middle of the screen. And it means nothing to me right now. You can analyze it 6 ways from Sunday, and it really doesn't make any difference. It's just a candle in the middle of nowhere for me right now. Doesn't mean anything. It's not a topping candle. It's not a bottoming candle. It's not anything. We're just looking for where it leads us next, and next might be up if for some reason the news comes out tomorrow that helps the markets move. That makes the markets bullish. Then we'll obviously see this thing resolve itself upwards, and we're looking for those pushes above 11,860 if that happens. To the downside, I am still watching the 20-day moving average. You'll notice how effective this 20-day moving average has been for the other indices as we push forward. NASDAQ 60-minute also resting right here at the end of yesterday, and plop, fell right through it this morning, coming down into this lower support area, then back up, and now it's really in limbo. I don't have any opinion on it one way or the other. I don't like going short the NASDAQ, so I don't. Pushes up above, watch for overhead resistance here, and of course support right here. Breaks below here. First target would be 2250 on the NASDAQ if you're at all interested in shorting it. But look what happened. A beautiful touch of the 20-day moving average. I've been preaching to you guys about this, telling you, making sure you were ready for it. And when we hit it, what happened? We got the bounce. There was good selling today, but there just wasn't enough selling today to get this thing through the 20-day moving average in one fell swoop. I really do kind of think that this whole move down was maybe a wave one. We saw a bounce right off the 20-day, perfect target, bring it right back up for a wave two. How far this wave two goes, I don't know. It could, end up back in here someplace. It's anybody's guess. Point being, a beautiful touch and go off of the 20-day moving average. This is why I tell you guys stuff like this. Very effective. Now, will it hold on another touch? Only time will tell. But I'd be watching it closely. Any kind of break down again into this 20-day moving average and breaks below the 20-day moving average, okay, now maybe you've got opportunities to short the markets. From a weekly, really haven't done much. We've kind of collected what we gained last week. We got it all back. The bears got it back this week so far. Where this closes, I don't know. By the end of tomorrow, I think it might end up being kind of a spinning top, maybe a doji type candle. Any further weakness, I think it brings it right back down here to the bottom. I don't see it necessarily falling out of the through the floor tomorrow by any means. But watch closely where this thing ends up. If we can get this thing back below that 2260-ish area, that is another good opportunity to maybe take a short in the NASDAQ. I would really rather you turn your attentions to shorting the S&P, but it's completely up to you in that respect. S&P 60-minute, look at this. We did not close above the 50-period moving average. I know I told my subscribers, not sure if I told you guys, but that is bearish. It's bearish for the market. Sure enough, we got some follow through today. only to see the big bounce up. So all of this could have been some big wave 1. Now we're seeing a wave 2 right into overhead resistance. Now we're just kind of resting sideways, waiting for the next move. I like it below here for a short and above here maybe for a long. Want to be a little cautious here, but you can see that this dip has been much deeper than what we saw on the Dow. And a perfect touch again of the 20-day moving average. Once again, these targets are so very important. So here we are again. Right back up with the same type of a candle that we saw on the NASDAQ, but it's the same thing. I don't really care right now. If we can get back up and above maybe 1285, 1290, okay, maybe we can push our way back into this area, potentially even breaking to a new high, getting out above here. There's still nothing major broken from a bull standpoint at all at this point. All we've done is we've come back here to retest the 20-day moving average. Whoop-de-doo. If you take a look at it on a weekly, you can see we haven't gathered all that much from what we gained last week. NASDAQ's being weaker this particular week, but S&P hasn't even gotten back to the bottom of last week's low. So they're just kind of wandering around here. Could turn into another inside type candle like we saw back here, which could make for another kind of a small pullback. Could be a high base. All kinds of formations can come out of this, so we don't want to jump to conclusions. We see big red moves down, and all of a sudden everybody wants to go, this is it. And you got to be careful. You got to give it time. You got to give it confirmation. We really haven't seen it, as you can see from the weekly, and certainly not from the daily. Now, retests of the 20, okay, now we got something to talk about, because if we can get back below 1270, now we got opportunities to short, at least back into the 1260-ish area. The VIX on a daily, up, then back again, but overall up. Big up, too, about 4% up, while the markets were really kind of flat. So here we go again. Markets flat, VIX up, clearing way to the upside. I do like the fact that there maybe is a little bit of concern coming into the market at this point, but nothing major to talk about yet. Not above 19, not above 20. Really nothing here. However, are outside of this pattern. Now it just looks like we're consolidating sideways within the VIX itself. Apple 60 minutes saw some renewed weakness today, making for some fantastic trading. We took a short here at this one. Gap shorted it, ran it down for about a $5 gain. I didn't take this one. I was busy. Then my computer broke midway through this day. However, huge move up in Apple, huge move down in Apple. I was out of this thing way too early. A lot of my students and stuff stayed in this and covered most of it. Got back into the 332 to 336 range. Some of them even held right down here towards the 200. Still got out about the 332 range by the time it was all said and done. But regardless, an excellent, excellent trade. Now, there are strategies for trading these type of moves. One of the biggest problems I find with everybody I talk to, and myself, I can raise my hand on this sometimes too, is managing the trade once you're in it. Sometimes I don't manage it right. Most of the times I pull quite a bit of money out of it, but sometimes I just don't manage it correctly. That seems to be everybody's problem. Sometimes people get in at the right time, they just don't know when to get out. And panic sets in, fear sets in, greed sets in. And it just comes down to a lack of education. Get yourself a good education, you'll be fine. You'll be comfortable with what you're doing. These type of moves can be, come on, how often does Apple do something like this? How often does any stock do something like this? This is huge. Pull $5 out of it over here, you think you're a champ. Here's a $25 move. Here's another $20 move. Good grief. Literally thousands and thousands of dollars to be made in Apple if you play options. Just over the last couple days. You could have turned $5,000 into probably $30,000. Actually, I'm actually sure of it, because I remember checking this one out down here, thinking a $5,000 investment up here towards the end of the day would have made you $10,000 to $12,000 during the course of a day on just a $5,000 investment in options, if you knew what you were doing. Same thing was true up here. If you got short those same type of options up here, you could have made another $10,000 to $15,000 on the way back down. Probably more like 8 to 10. But point being, you could have turned a $5,000 account into a $25,000 to $30,000 account in 2 days. If you know what you're doing and you're just comfortable with what you're doing, that makes all the difference. So anyway, get yourself the education. Talk to me about the mentoring. Apple Daily still looking at this weakness and closing below the 20-day. We might not be done here in Apple. I'll be curious to see how it reacts over the next day or two. From a weekly perspective, too, holding this upper blue line. See how we got that fake out breakout up here? Then the gap down on the jobs news. I kind of thought it maybe would come up and roll over. Nope, Steve Jobs said, nope, I'm sick. And all of a sudden we got this big gap down. come right back up into the blue line, holding beautifully, and back down again. So any further push up in Apple, gotta look to this blue line. Now I'm sold on it. Wasn't sold on it right away, but now I really like it. FAS 60 minutes saw a little bit of a ended up for the day, but look at the action that we saw. It was pretty choppy. I don't know, not my cup of tea right here. However, we are sitting right on the 20-day moving average. Notice how we held above the 20-day moving average. Okay, I'm looking for breaks below the 20-day moving average. If you want to short this, you want to get it in about below 29 bucks, somewhere around in there. If it manages to work its way down tomorrow, FAZ then perfect bounce off the bottom of this trend line. Once again, lines make all the difference in your trading. Right up to where? Oh yeah, the top trend line, where it then stopped again. Did I mention lines make all the difference? Okay, good. So here we had a try to break it, try to break it, try to break it, and then the bear said, maybe not today. We'll try again tomorrow or another day. So a little bit of a pullback here. I don't know if this is done. This could be a 1, 2, 3 with a little bit of a 4 here. The next break up and over, I like it above 890, really $9. You might be able to pull 20, 30, 40 cents out of that on a long trade. It's stuck at the 20-day moving average. That's what really held it up today. So we got good confluence of overhead resistance. So 20-day holding it up very nice. You want to take it above the 20-day, great. I'm only looking for maybe 30 to 50 cents out of it. If we can get above 950, 960, that's a good trade to the upside. And then ultimately above 1050, 1060, and we're on our way. That could make for some very, very good trading. So watch those for entries as well. Maybe not tomorrow, but into maybe next week. That'll do it for today. I will be back with you again tomorrow night for the weekly wrap-up. See you then.